urgent that you are sheltered if you live in Jacksonville, if you're on the campus of Jacksonville State University. You should have been sheltered 30 minutes ago. This was a 30-minute lead time. This is horrifying. All right, look, this is a TDS. That's a tornado debris signature. This is correlation coefficient. When you get a negative CC, that means the radar is telling us that there's something different about the echoes there. It's not precipitation. This is stuff like tree limbs, parts of buildings being lofted. This is not a good sign.
So I was living in the avenues in here in the city of Jacksonville, and got the kids and everybody into the bathroom like you're supposed to, and you could hear it. I remember the feeling of the pressure, the outside pressure. You feel it change, and then the pelting. It sounded like rocks were just being thrown at our house. So we knew it had gotten bad. Didn't know how bad.
When he started talking about the campus and locations on campus, and then I started hearing from other people that were sending text messages and saying, oh my gosh, students are trapped here. Oh my gosh, the Coliseum is gone. The nursing building is gone. I almost couldn't breathe.
And again, as we get additional information from law enforcement, we'll pass that on to you. But again, this is a violent-looking signature here east of Jacksonville.
After the tornado had come through, there was still a significant amount of energy still left in the storm, so there was really heavy precipitation and there was a lot of lightning still on the back end, so it wasn't safe to leave the house. It was probably 10 or 15 minutes later, and I had gotten a call from Chief Tommy Thompson, and he said, do you realize how bad the damages are? And I said, no sir, I do not. And I could tell that the damages were severe. When I walked home that night, after I had come back to Merrill, that was the moment, the first moment and the only moment in my life where I've heard deathly silence and no light. It was the first moment in my life to where I was a little bit scared, to be alone.
This residence hall right here, this is Logan Hall. Typically there'd be about 170 students inside of this building on any given night during the school year. This is just one small piece of the damage we have seen all across Jacksonville State University's campus.
You'll see the calling card of last night's EF3 tornado to give power crews a chance to come in, get the power restored to all the residents and clear the roads so then the volunteers can participate. This community is going to need all the help they can get for several weeks and months to come. Reporting live in Jacksonville, John Papke, WVTM 13.
This is one of the hardest hit spots in the state, though we've got several locations that feel the impact today. But as I traveled around the campus, the damage is absolutely significant. There are 4 residence halls that are not able for students to live in. Thank goodness students are on spring break.
The day following the tornado, that morning, my teammates and I, we decided to walk to campus and get out of our dorms and see what happened with our own eyes. And I remember we walked from our stadium, our dorm, we walked through campus to Logan Hall, and just seeing the amount of destruction and all of the trees down, power lines down. It was seeing cars broken. It was crazy to see the amount of destruction that happened.
I remember just being so overwhelmed with the what ifs, because my mind works that way. I start thinking, oh my gosh, what will be the next steps? How will we have a nursing program if we don't have a building? What will we do? How will we manage? It wasn't long after that that people descended on campus when campus was deemed safe. We had volunteers. Our slogan, our mantra was JSU Strong. And I thought that was very fitting for JSU because my personal belief is that JSU is an experience, not just a location. It feels like it has a soul of its own. And so I feel like that slogan, our mantra, JSU Strong, was so fitting for us at the time. And we were all so eager to help, just to really pull in resources, whatever we could and try to help.
After the light of day and we could start really scoping out the extent of the damage as an institution, we could tell that we had extensive damage on multiple buildings. The main part of campus, more than 60 buildings, and I would say there was damage on the majority of those. And some could be small shingle damage from a roof to you had Wallace and Merrill Hall and Patterson and Logan, which had structural damage to the buildings, Merrill being the worst.
The front storefront of that building, which was all glass, just took an absolute thrashing. Those of us who know what the lot across from Merrill looked like before the storm, it was a thicket full of nothing but pine trees, and that tornado picked those pine trees up just like a bunch of toothpicks, and it just threw them like darts into the face of that building from one side to the other, and it just decimated it.
Sometime early summer, we had a meeting with some executives from Regional Medical Center. And there was some conversation at that time about how can we help you? And the time came where Louis Bass came to me and he said, listen, we want to donate the hospital to JSU Nursing. And I said, what? What exactly are you saying? He said, well, we're closing the hospital. I can't think of a better use of that facility, that space, than using it for nursing students to be educated and trained in a hospital setting. I was like, gosh, yes, I agree with you. I don't know if I have the authority to accept such a donation, but I agree with you. So, fall of last year, all the nursing faculty had a home, they had a space, and they were completely blown away when they saw what had been provided for them.
It has exceeded all expectations, and we spent a lot of resources to put that facility into a learning, instructional, laboratory, and classroom environment compared to being a hospital. So it took a lot to renovate, but we're proud of what that facility is offering to our students now. And then the College of Education Professional Studies, College of Education and Professional Studies was growing, and they had exceeded their footprint that was in their former building, Ramona Wood Hall on the Quad, but they needed more space. We were wanting to open up a child development center, and then they started their Doctor of Education, which we're excited to have finally a Doctor of Education to go along with our quality education professional studies programs. And the footprint they have over there is perfect. So we're now teaching nurses in a former hospital and teachers in a former school. And it's a great way to kind of get them exposed to some type of environment that they're going to see in their professional career.
If you look at our roughly 2.4 million square feet of academic, administrative, housing, athletic space across campus, and you look at peer institutions and the amount of resources that they have to be able to keep up with deferred maintenance, to improve these facilities, it is a blessing now that we have survived everything that we have had to go through over these last 6 years to get where we are today. We have a South Complex for the College of Health Professions and Wellness that is it's a first-class facility. If you look at this building that we're sitting in, the replacement of Merrill Hall, College of Business, this is a first-class facility, and it's something to be proud of. We have other facilities that were part of the renovations and improvements, like Pete Matthews Coliseum, Mason Hall, Brewer Hall, and so long-term, if you think about all the improvements that we have gone through, not just the new construction, but also the renovations, we are simply at a point with this 2.4 million square feet and 70 plus buildings that, without an act of God, we would have never been able to get to this point.
You will see evidence of the tornado that happened on this campus for decades to come. We were able to put the campus back in a place that it was operational, but we also invested into the future of our infrastructure so that if a natural disaster ever occurs again, we're in a better footing for it.
So when I came on as CFO in the spring of 2022, it was kind of the perfect storm, no pun intended, but we're still recovering from the tornado. The cost was estimated at $120 million. That's including 50 of JSU's 66 buildings on campus. And then if that wasn't enough for JSU, the world was still dealing with the impact of a pandemic. So it was a little daunting being able to ascertain what was the baseline of operations, because you had two catastrophes that happened back to back, really. So as you're starting to recover from one, here's another pandemic that's impacting operations and fiscal well-being. So it was challenging, but nothing that we couldn't handle here at JSU.
As I became part of this Jack State community, I was so impressed by the resilience, perseverance, just the strength of those who were faculty, staff, and students on this campus. And I think that it's really because of that attitude that we were able to overcome and then excel. I mean, to look at the campus today, the number of building projects, and it's not just in the physical campus that you see this. We have developed new programs. We have new committees. We have new initiatives. Only 6 years after the tornado, and we have grant-funded research, grant-funded centers, grant-funded initiatives that are impacting the lives of students as well as others in our community. Our faculty are excelling in scholarly and creative activity and impacting the world through that.
Well, I feel the energy around campus is contagious. The students' energy, you walk around campus and you see the excitement. The faculty and staff are finding creative ways to be better. So I hope everyone feels the energy of the institution, because that has been a goal, is to energize the campus, but energizing the campus comes with enrollment growth, with infrastructure improvements. We see the new buildings. Those are always exciting. Winning in athletics, everyone wants to win. So all of that come together gives the energy that, and it's a positive energy, and I hope that is evident when people walk around campus.
I think one thing that JSU has done a great job with is not only recovering from the tornado, not only responding to the pandemic, but also accelerating and putting things back together again. It's one thing to get students back in the classroom, to get faculty back teaching those students, right? But also, how do we enhance that? How do we scale that up? And that's really been a key to JSU's transformation under the leadership of our current president, Dr. Don Killingsworth. We're not only moving up, but we're scaling up, right? You see these building projects on campus that are making sure that it's responsive to the student environment. And it's also enhancing our capacity, not only for the region, but also for the state of Alabama.
From the time of the tornado in March 2018 to today, we are a very different institution. We still have the same traditions and cultures, which is important. You know, a lot of positive decisions have been made to get us to where we are today, but it's only really the beginning. I envision within the next 5 to 10 years that you will see this campus become even greater.